Hello and welcome back everybody to the Foodbuild factory, where today we're going to take a look at the Triggerman. That's the guy you can see on screen right now, and as always I'm going to show you some gameplay in the first half of the video, and in the second half of the video we're going to take a look at the perks, mutations, equipment and everything else. So first and foremost, forgive me for my absence. Kind of took me a little bit longer than usual to release a video. That's only because I'm knee-deep in my finals, in my exams. Gladly though, the theoretical part is done now, so I'm only looking to do some practical tests in the near future, but yeah, since I don't have to learn after work, I can now focus again on the more important things in life, like video games. So yeah, what this character is going to be about is, it's loosely inspired by the faction, I would call it, in Fallout 4, the Triggerman. Basically they were kind of like gangsters, and they were oftentimes wearing the suspenders and slacks that we are wearing here. You could also often find the bowler hats and so on, and in terms of weaponry they were mostly known for using their submachine guns, but could also wield other stuff like pistols and so on. But anyways, the submachine gun is a weapon I wanted to show off for quite a while on this channel, and that's for a specific reason. It's one of those weapons that's often being overlooked when it comes to commando weapons, for its low base damage. It has other differences compared to other weapons. For example, the range is relatively limited. It's not a high range weapon or anything, but it has some things going for it. Now, the first thing I really like is it still has relatively good ammo capacity compared to other submachine guns and commando rifles. But the most important thing is something a lot of people overlook. Now, if you are a high level player and play this game for a long time and so on, I'm pretty sure you know about it, but it has an armor penetrating receiver, which to my knowledge is unique to the submachine gun. I'm pretty sure at least that there's not a different commando weapon that has one, and yeah, this is nothing to be overlooked. Just in case, I have looked up on the fandom, on the wiki fandom, and according to that website, the armor penetration is pretty massive. It's 40% extra armor penetration, which is quite a lot. Compare that to the anti-armor effect, which is 50%. Yeah, that's nothing to cough at, as I said. So 40% armor penetration just from a receiver, and pretty much the only cost we do have is yeah, that we're doing, like, I think it's 3 less damage or something. So in my opinion that's definitely the best choice. Now, for certain individuals, maybe the prime receiver could be a good option, but at that point I would just move over to another weapon, to be honest. I would definitely use this thing here for its armor penetrating effects. And the way I wanted to use this here is, I wanted to make a non-stealth build, loud and proud, shooty, gunny thingy, and fall back to a kind of, yeah, way of playing the game that I often use, which is just to increase my AP refresh massively. The weapon has relatively good AP cost, but it gets worse when you're using the armor penetrating receiver. It's not as effective as other receivers when it comes to your action point consumption per shot, and also, yeah, you're not having the longest range. Now, if you've seen this in the past, there's a good chance you've seen it with a suppressor in a stealth build, which definitely in terms of effectiveness is always a good choice. It's a stealth commando, which is just very good, so you can't really go wrong with a stealth commando. However, I always felt like this wasn't the way I wanted to use the weapon, just because, I mean, it's clearly inspired by the Thompson submachine gun, which probably isn't the correct name, but you know, I'm not a gun nut or anything. Everything I know about guns is from video games, and yeah, to me this is a Thompson submachine gun, and that's pretty much it. And yeah, I felt like this wasn't really a stealth weapon or anything. It was a close to mid-range yeah, submachine gun, and I think it really works well in that department. Now, sadly, this guy here doesn't seem like he wants to land, but yeah, that shouldn't be too much of a problem. For some reason my server is a little bit laggy, sorry. So you see we have a lot of hits that don't really seem to register, but yeah, anyways, it's a good way to show off how this build is supposed to work. Like, you're shooting in small bursts until your AP is gone, and your AP refreshes so fast that it will be back in no time. Another big thing I use here, which I like to use very often, is I boosted my luck up to 23, and with the legendary effect that my critical meter fills up faster, I was able to get a crit on every second shot. Admittedly, at this fire rate it's a bit hard to tell, and it's not always working correctly just because of aforementioned lag, but but yeah, overall this works out very well. Obviously, if you want to recreate this build, there are other weapons you can use. The only thing I would advise you to do is look out for that legendary effect that I just mentioned, which means that vats crits do feel faster, and if you do that, you will have a lot of crits, a lot of power from critical hits, and you can be very capable. You could use something like a long-range alternative. Obviously a fixer is always good. You're not really making use of the stealth benefits from the fixer, but that shouldn't mean too much. I think a handmade rifle would work pretty well. So here we saw that we indeed have quite lag. A handmade rifle would work very well, also in terms of visuals in my eyes. But obviously in this case we just used the Thompson submachine gun. And to be more precise, what we are using here is a quad version with faster fire rate and the vats crits that fill faster. So closing in on an enemy, we don't have the best hit chance just because we are slightly out of range here, but we tackle that by just shooting small bursts and let concentrated fire do the job. And basically the first time we do get a critical, which is a safe hit, we up from that point do get a lot of hits in. Now sadly I'm not quite sure if there's the Assaultron Dominator here. If so, that's one enemy that probably will just melt us, but yeah, for now we have to hunt down that treasure hunter wherever he is. There he is. Also means we are in robot territory, but that shouldn't be too much of a problem. And as you can see here, you just have to stick with this simple burst fire technique. It's not for everyone, not a lot of people like it. I personally think it reminds me a lot of how I played Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas, where I had a really tough time just staying in vats up until the very high levels when Grim Reaper Sprint was available and so on. But yeah, combat for the most part was, yeah, retreating, let your action points refresh, then go back into vats, fire some small bursts and repeat the whole process, which I kind of like, to be honest. Works out pretty well. In terms of survivability, we are not perfectly equipped. We just try to get our resistances very high for a non-power armor build, and that worked out well for the most part. Doesn't mean though that we are invincible or anything. In situations where we do get crowded, we will easily get into trouble. We definitely do have to take a stim pack here and there, so that's something to keep in mind. But overall, yeah, you can see, as long as enemies are at least a little bit spread out, we do have capability of doing some great damage. And overall, same thing goes for the weapon in its whole. We do have a lot of DPS available. We are mostly limited by, as I said, staying in vats. Our action points are depleted relatively fast, but on the other hand we can refresh them very fast as well. So where this falls flat a little bit is when you're fighting tougher targets. You saw this in the beginning with Yaoguai, or when we were fighting the Scorched Beast. That's definitely the realm where it gets a little bit annoying to always wait. On the other side though, it's not too crazy. Now, one thing that means is that the quad effect sadly isn't the most important thing for us, because after all, we're often using the time that we have to wait for our action points to reload anyways. As you can see here with the quad effect, we have a massive magazine size. However, if you just play this build, there's obviously nothing speaking against just using non-vats shots, like just free aim the weapon. And if you want to do that, you can definitely make great use out of the quad effect. The only thing is it gets a little bit less ammo efficient that way. So the reason I wanted to really focus on vats is ammo efficiency. This weapon here, as it is, quad faster fire rate, means that yeah, if you're using it outside of vats, you can easily just mag dump every enemy. If you are in a tough situation or you don't really care for your ammo consumption, it's definitely something you can do. As you can see though, once we are getting our hits in on a target, yeah, we can pretty much kill anything within seconds. Like the whole aesthetic, however, the only thing I found was that I didn't really find any backpack I was 100% sold on. And yeah, I have a pink Pip-Boy, by the way, that just because yeah, I wanted to use that. I bought it like ages ago and never really used it for anything, so that's why we have a pink paint job on the Pip-Boy. But yeah, otherwise, other than that, I love the aesthetic. It's very simple. It's very early game stuff, like bowler head and suspenders and slacks are very common to find. So it's nothing you have to grind for or anything. Nothing to show off, definitely. Not a big flex, but yeah, as I said, I do like it. Really, the best way of defense for this build is as often to just go go all in on attacks. And yeah, just overwhelm your enemy with firepower, basically. You can definitely take some shots like this here without any big problem, but yeah, that's about it. So let's see. Oh, we do have red stacks for once. Relatively uncommon here. I mean, relatively uncommon is a bit of an overstatement maybe, but we made quick work here. Now, we did get a little bit lucky with Grim Reaper Sprint, I gotta be honest here. Otherwise we would have maybe had to retreat on those rocks there. But anyways, one thing I wanted to talk about, just because I just seen it before I started recording the video. Yeah, I'm really hyped for the new seasonal events that are coming out. Test Your Metal seems cool, but more precisely the alien event, that will be crazy for the weapons. I'm really looking forward to alien weaponry. In my eyes, it was about time to get some decent energy weapons. Now, obviously we can't tell yet if they are good or not, but just from what I expect here, I guess that it will be great. We will probably see stuff like we saw in Mothership Zeta, and I'm most importantly a little bit hyped because I feel that those will be energy weapons that have stealth capability, for the simple reason that the alien blaster projectiles are silent. And therefore, I guess, yeah, they won't really make a new projectile. They will probably utilize the alien blaster rounds, and if they do that, yeah, we have a stealth weapon, a energy stealth weapon, and I'm really looking forward to it. It will be great, no matter what. Unless they completely screw it up and make it too weak, but I'm pretty sure they won't do so. Yeah, really looking forward to that, despite it taking a little bit of time at this point, but yeah. Other than that, what I have planned for the near future, I actually want to try to stick a little bit with recreating characters or factions from other Fallout games. Simple reason is that my prototype harness build has actually performed quite a lot better than I expected, and yeah, I think I just triggered some nostalgia there, which I'm going to exploit now. It's something though that I wanted to focus on for quite a while. To be honest, we covered a wide variety of playstyles here, so it's about time that we start to get a little bit more into the an ornate pail, into the role-playing aspect, other than just going for completely different playstyles. And the next one I planned, at least, is Old Lady Gibson. So if you have any character from older Fallout games that you especially like or want to see recreated in Fallout 76, then let me know. And for now, that was it in terms of gameplay. I hope you enjoyed it. Obviously it's not the most powerful build, but keep in mind various weapons. I see some ticks there and I don't want to be surprised by them. Yeah, keep in mind some other weaponry can definitely make a great difference here. Some more vats efficient weapons would definitely be nice to have, but other than that, I think I really like the 45 SMG. It's definitely underrated in my opinion, despite a lot of people knowing how capable it is in the right hands. And yeah, that was it in terms of gameplay, and now we're going to take a look at the perks and everything, starting off with the mutations. So what we do have here is Bird Bones, Eagle Eyes, Egghead, Herbivore, Marsupial and Speed Demon. Right off the bat, Bird Bones and Eagle Eyes, those are very straightforward when it comes to a VATS character. More action points due to higher agility is always nice. Better VATS hit chance due to high perception, also nice, despite it not making the world of a difference. And lastly, more crit damage, obviously very good for us since we're trying to do a crit on every second shot. So yeah, that's pure beneficial there. We do have harsh debuffs to strength, but we have very low strength to begin with, so the difference isn't all that great. We're talking about, I think I do have 5 strength, so yeah, it doesn't really matter, we're down anyways. So even with Class Freak we would look at minus 3 strength, so yeah, doesn't really matter. Then we do have Egghead. This is just thrown in there because, yeah, as I said, the debuff to strength isn't too crazy to us. Debuff to endurance hurts us a little bit, just because we're not stealthy, we do take hits and so on. But on the other side, yeah, extra intelligence means a little bit more experience points, and we have relatively low intelligence, so that doesn't hurt. And yeah, then we do have Herbivore. I haven't really shown that off, but as always, when you're playing a VATS character, Herbivore is a very good mutation because a lot of good food buffs come from vegetarian stuff like Blight Soup, which increases your critical damage by a high amount, by 40%, I'm pretty sure, which is obviously very beneficial for this build. And then you have certain stuff that helps you refresh your action points even faster. So yeah, Herbivore was kind of a must-have, especially since it doesn't really have a downside other than we're not getting any benefits from consuming meat. And lastly, we do have Marsupial and Speed Demon. Those are pretty much universally on any single build I do have, just because, yeah, once you played with them, you don't really want to play without them anymore. The extra jump height and movement speed are so beneficial. Obviously, faster reload speed does help us also, but isn't the most important thing. I did reload unnecessarily very often during this video. Keep in mind you have 212 shots, I think it is, yeah. Excuse me. So yeah, you don't really have to reload all that often, but still, if you have to, faster reload speed is always nice to have, right? Then we go over, here you can see luck 23, that's the important part. And in terms of our weapon, we do have a quad faster fire rate submachine gun with VATS crits filling faster, as I said earlier. In terms of modifications, the armor piercing receiver, that was very much the corner piece of this video basically. As I said, there's hardened receivers and so on, so you can get your damage up a little bit, but you're not missing out on too much, and to be honest, 40% extra armor penetration is just too good to not use in my eyes. Short light barrel, the only other option than the standard one. Then we do have a recoil compensating stock, yet again, only other option than the standard version. And then we do have a large quick eject drum mag. This is pretty straightforward when it comes to this weapon. That's just the best option. You have a medium quick eject drum mag and a standard one, so yeah, go for a large one. Usually once you have a quad version of a weapon, you don't really have to focus too much on increasing your ammo, your magazine capability, but on this occasion, yeah, it's just that there's no better option, so we went for it. And also in terms of visuals, it's it's a cool drum mag, right? Then we have a reflex sight, very obviously for VATS gameplay, always the best option. And lastly, we do have a compensator. As I said, there's a suppressor, so if you want to use this as a stealth weapon, it's very good at that, but I just didn't like to use it that way. And yeah, all of that combined leaves us with a damage of 51, which I know isn't too impressive, but I think you saw it. Yeah, once we're getting our hits in, we can do quite a lot of damage in short time. Fire rate is also pretty great, 107. Obviously it's boosted by our legendary effect, but still pretty great. And yeah, overall really cool weapon, I like it. As I said, range is a bit disappointing, 96 range, that's very short range, but the way we want to use this here, it's okay, I guess. Wouldn't hurt to have higher range, but yeah. In terms of condition, we lost about 50% or so, so it's not the greatest weapon when it comes to condition, but that's just because we're getting so many hits in. And yeah, that being said, let's take a look at our armor. We do have a full set of Brotherhood of Steel combat armor, just because it's a very good armor set that doesn't really rely on a lot of grind or anything. And we do have one piece with auto stim and extra luck. This extra luck was necessary for me to get 23 luck. So we did it by getting 15 base luck, 5 legendary luck, the shielded vault suit giving us 2 extra luck, and then 1 armor piece with extra luck. So that's how I got to 23 luck without any buffs or temporary stuff. And the rest of our equipment here is Vanguard's AP refresh. I have shown this off in the past. Obviously Vanguard's isn't the craziest effect in the world, it's often a bit overhyped, but I still kinda like it, especially the way we are using it here. We're trying to end combat relatively quickly, so we just need to survive initial bursts, and yeah, having more resistances at that point does help. We are over the point of diminishing returns. As you can see there, 411 damage and 451 energy resistance. So yeah, usually when you are at somewhere at around 350 resistances, that's where you can stop. After that, your benefits don't increase too crazily, but on the other hand, we do lose out on quite a lot anyway when Vanguards isn't active anymore, and therefore yeah, I think there's still a difference, it's just not the best one. What you could also do is just go for a set of mixed stuff like Mutant Slayers and so on. The important part here was definitely the action point refresh and one piece with extra luck. And just because it's kind of necessary at this in this build here, it is the shielded Vault 76 jumpsuit for the extra 2 luck. That's the important part. We also get a little bit of extra strength, endurance, intelligence, and so on. But yeah, the intelligence is nice, synergizes well with our Egghead mutation. But yeah, the extra endurance and strength barely noticeable when we take into account that we have quite heavy debuffs to those stats. So yeah. Sunglasses, suspenders and slacks, and the bowler hat, pretty straightforward here. And now we're going to take a look at the perks. Starting off with 5 strength, we do have bandolier. Very obviously, we do carry a ton of ballistic ammo with us to feed our weapon. So yeah, reducing the weight of that ammo is nice to have. And then we do have blocker, just because yeah, while we are not high on defensive perks, we do have some, and this is one of them because it's just pretty much the most bang for your buck when it comes to defensive perks. If enemies manage to get a melee hit in on us, it's doing 45% less damage. That's just good. What should I say? Then we do have perception, which is not maxed out, as you can see here. We do have all the commando perks maxed out. Then we do have tank killer maxed out, which makes it so that we can penetrate even a little bit more armor and have a nice little chance to stagger. And lastly, we have 1 rank of concentrated fire. Ground pounder just wasn't really necessary on this occasion because we have such a high ammo capacity, so I could leave that out and have perk points to spend otherwise. And concentrated fire rank 2 or 3 just were overkill on a commando character, so I just went with rank 1, and I think I did the right choice here. And then we go over to endurance, where we do have 5 ironclad. Now this is another one of those perks where possibly you're not the biggest fan of. So yeah, it just gives us 50 extra damage and energy resistance, which sounds like a little bit of a lost cause because we have such high resistances anyway. But keep in mind, we do lose quite a lot of the resistances once we're falling below 80% health, 70% health, and so on. And Ironclad makes it that even at lower health, we still have a comfortable 320 resistances, somewhere around those realms. So that's nice to have. And then we had 2 points left, which I used for photosynthetic. Not a specific reason, honestly. Now, noticeably, what's missing here is fireproof and adamantium skeleton, which I usually use. But on this occasion, I actually have a dense chest piece, so fireproof was kind of unnecessary. And adamantium skeleton I usually use because oftentimes when I'm tanky or trying to do a non-stealth character or so, I try to make it so that I don't really rely on stimpaks to begin with. But on this occasion, you just have to take a stimpak every now and then, and therefore it doesn't really matter if you use it to heal your limbs or to heal your action points, hit points. So yeah, I went with photosynthetic. A little bit of health regen during the day is nice. It's hardly the best perk in the world, but you can use whatever you like. Colonat, as you can see down there, was high on my list of possible perks to use here, just because yeah, it could be very nice to even refresh your action points faster, but ultimately yeah, I went for photosynthetic. Then we do have Charisma, a very prominent combination of rank 3 Tenderizer and rank 4 Lone Wanderer. Even faster action point refresh, a little bit less damage taken, and way more damage done. So yeah, I think there's not a lot to explain here. Then we go over to Intelligence, rank 3 of First Aid. As I said, we are definitely relying on stimpaks every now and then in order to keep ourselves moving and alive. So making them more effective is obviously a nice thing to have. Other than that, being at such low intelligence, which was very much our dumpstead here, at least one of them, meant that there's not a whole lot you can use that's actually too beneficial here. Nerd Rage was an idea I had, but yeah, I ultimately felt like First Aid was the right call. Then we do have Agility, which is maxed out. We do have Action Boy, even more AP refresh, so it might be overkill to have Action Boy, Lone Wanderer, and 4 pieces of action point refresh armor, but I personally think there's still a pretty noticeable difference, so I wanted to have it either way. Then we do have White Knight. Obviously what keeps us alive is our armor, and making it degrade less fast is definitely a nice thing to have, and also making it cheaper to repair. Then we do have Adrenaline, because of course we do. It's just a very beneficial perk. Whenever you do something like a gunslinger or so, there may be opportunity cost here, but on this occasion it was just pretty straightforward. I wanted to have maxed out agility anyways to have a lot of action points to use, and there's just not a lot I could have used. I was tempted to use evasive on top of ironclad, but ultimately adrenaline was the right call, I guess, for just extra damage overall in most situations. Then we do have Gun Fu at rank 3. Doesn't happen all of the time, but I'm pretty sure we saw it at full effectiveness when we were fighting the ghoul at the Freddy Fierce House of Horror. So it definitely does happen every now and then, and especially when you're fighting ghouls or so, it's very nice because at a certain point you really can start one-shotting them, which with such a weapon obviously means it gets way more efficient. And then we have lastly 1 rank of Born Survivor. Now this combined with our auto-stim piece means that yeah, we have a very good chance that even if we for some reason are not looking at our health bar and are in quite the trouble, that we will still survive an encounter, just because at 20% health we ultimately get 2 stimpaks injected, meaning that yeah, with First Aid together we have a good chance to be back to full health and where our Vanguard's effect kicks in again. So yeah, that's why it's there. Obviously there's other choices. You could use 1 rank of Escape Artist. You have high agility, so you could oftentimes use stealth despite not having a suppressor, or any chameleon gear or anything, but ultimately, yeah, I went with Born Survivor. And yeah. And then we go over to luck. Not a whole lot of crit perks here, but that's due to the setup we have. We do have critical savvy and better criticals. Critical savvy alone combined with 23 luck and our legendary effect that our vats critical meter fills faster means that we can refill our critical meter within a single hit. So that's all we have. In critical savvy is all we need in order to get the maximum amount of crits. Obviously, getting a crit every second shot means better criticals is more beneficial than ever. Then we have Grim Reaper Sprint. Has saved our ass quite a few times. We do have very fast action point refresh, so you could definitely live without it. However, especially when you're fighting tougher groups, bigger groups of enemies, ghouls, Scorch and so on, this can oftentimes help you just stay in vats longer without having to take a break. Just because we had the points left, I went for Bloody Mess, because ultimately, yeah, this is among the weaker weapons, so while we have a lot of armor penetration, boosting our damage overall is a nice thing to have. Bloody Mess, hardly the most beneficial perk in the world, but still, it's a little bit of extra damage and sometimes our enemies explode, so who's gonna say no to that? And that leaves us with 3 points left. Obviously we had 2 points for Starch Genes, which is, yeah, it's a shame we always have to take it, but yeah, there it is. We don't want to get any mutations we don't want, and we want to keep our mutations, so Starch Genes is quite kind of important. And lastly, we had 1 perk point left, and ultimately I wasn't really sure what to go for. I was tempted to go with 1 rank of Class Freak, but that didn't make enough of a difference to justify using it. As you can see down there, I do have 1 rank of Scrounger, which was nice, but ultimately not the best thing in the world either. So I went with Luck of the Draw. As I mentioned, the condition isn't the greatest thing on the weapon, and even if it's just rank 1, every now and then it helps us repair our weapon a little bit and just keeps us in combat longer. So I think, yeah, for just 1 perk point, Luck of the Draw is not a bad decision. And that means we are just left with legendary perks, and as you can see there, we have a lot of boring ones on this occasion, meaning that we just boosted our stats for the most part. This one here is very important, legendary luck. As I said, we want to have 23 luck, and if you don't want to use any buffs or so on, legendary luck is important. Obviously maxed out is the best way to go. The more legendary luck you do have, the less you have to rely on extra luck on your armor pieces, and that means you have room for stuff like powered. So yeah, rank 5 of luck on top of 15 base luck, and the rest here gives us more perk points to spend, meaning that, yeah, our luck is at 13, so boosted to 15 with agility. Our legendary agility is 2 and our standard agility is 12. Could go higher, but yeah, I just had to use the perk points here, and the rest all gives us access to more perk points. And lastly, we do have What Rats at rank 1 just for the convenience of it. Yeah, just so I don't have to take a red away every now and then. So yeah, that's basically it. I know this was a bit of a straightforward build on this occasion, nothing too crazy here, but yeah, I wanted to start easy because, as I said, I have quite a few ideas for the upcoming days. So, and yet again, please, if you have a favorite character in any of the Fallout games or anything, or a specific faction you want to see recreated in Fallout 76, just let me know. I really enjoy doing these kind of builds that are a little bit more focused on role playing and have a bit set rules on what kind of weapons we want to use and so on. And yeah, that being said, I hope you enjoyed the video, guys, and see you next time. Bye.